Hey Cannapreneurs, this week's show is sponsored by Dairy Berry's Recording Studio. Open up, Colorado. It's 420. Time to grind and burn.
This is not your son's stoner show.
Welcome once again to the Cannabis Community Project with Brainstorm.
Here for another weekly podcast from the CCP studios high up in Denver, Colorado. Here exploring the business side of this newly emerging Colorado economy, focusing on the business, the patient, the retailer, to the geek in the garage creating that next innovation. This is the first media platform to help fellow Cannapreneurs just like you build sustainable businesses while living the lifestyle. Hello, Cannapreneurs. Welcome back to CCP show number 80. That's right, we're moving up, getting close to 100. We'll round out this year at show number 100. Speaking of shows, I just want to remind everybody I am in the works of a second podcast. For those of you who enjoy listening to this podcast, you might enjoy another one I put together. I am going to focus on a religious side of life, still under the cannabis community. Have you heard of the First Church of Cannabis out in Indianapolis, Illinois? A Cannatarian is what you're called if you join the church, and that's what I did. I joined the church by paying the membership, get a card in the mail that says you're part of that church, and they have religious services. They're an official nonprofit status. So here's the question I'm posing to the podcast. What does it mean to be a Cannatarian? And how does one fulfill this life of following this spiritual journey? Well, the First Church of Cannabis has put together a set of guidelines, commandments, if you will. 12 of them. Don't want to be a one-upper. 2 more. 12 commandments, guidelines, principles, philosophies, whatever you want to call it. There are 12 things that one does or tries to live their life by to be considered a Cannatarian. And that's what my new podcast is going to be all about. I'm going to be exploring that journey, finding other people who are venturing down that same path, and also looking at how I can incorporate these philosophies into my own life, discussing and reflecting daily interaction with the world, and how a Cannatarian would approach the world in everyday life versus maybe just a civilian. So I'm putting that together now. It's still a few weeks off, but I want to make sure you know about it because it's called the Deity Dozen podcast. And the Deity Dozen, you guessed it, are the 12 commandments of the First Church of Cannabis. And I am going to be exploring all of this coming soon, right here, still produced by the Cannabis Community Project, but the new show, the Deity Dozen podcast. Stay tuned for that. Hey, since we're talking about shows and producing more stuff, pretty much CCP is a media outlet, right? That's what we do. We produce media. Right now it's podcast. But I'm very close to venturing off into the television, let me restate that, into the web-based visual medium, otherwise commonly known as television. We're going to start producing some more videos, get a YouTube channel, maybe Vimeo, maybe somewhere else, but we got to get a visual presence, not just to accompany these podcasts, but also to make sure that we're just giving people full media spectrum. Podcast is where the power is. The power of podcasting is having the earbud in your ear as you wash dishes, drive the car, walk down the street, work out at the gym, whatever it is you're doing where you're consuming a podcast. That's what makes it intimate. But people also love to engage on a visual aspect. So we're going to find a studio. We're going to find a place somewhere that we can set up shop permanently to create more of a television style studio rather than just exclusively a radio podcasting studio. And to do that, we're going to need some big sponsors, or at least some people to fund that. We got an adventure ahead of us. Despite our lack of full success in the Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign, we're still very confident that we're going to find the right person or people out there to get engaged with and really build CCP into a full platform of a 24-hour radio, visual, blogging, social media and in-person live events going on throughout the week. We want to make sure that this community is involved in any which way you can. Just be involved. We'll provide the media, you provide the community. Community comes from all over the place. It's just about making new friends, right? I mean, that's what networking is. Networking is not about how many business cards you pass out and do you have your elevator pitch down so when you go into the crowd of people waving their cheese sticks and their beers that you can woo them over with your great 30-second line of what you do. No, it's about connecting. It's about making friends and getting involved with people, finding out about what they do, sharing what you do, interacting and collaborating on projects and ideas to hopefully make both parties better and make it one big party. That's why I just love reaching out to people who are in all different aspects of cannabis. This week's show, producer Diablo D, he sent me a screener. It made me feel like such a huge celebrity. I don't know. He probably sent out 1,000 to everybody else who had a podcast. But I was definitely honored to get it, and I wanted to make sure that I repaid that honor by watching the screener before I spoke to him, following up with a recorded interview, and really talking about his movie and the production and his life on a one-to-one level, and how it changes life to be involved in these types of projects, and what it means even to the cannabis community. We're going to be exposed to the Keef Army today. Are you ready for this? The Keef Army, Keef Ninja, I guess the equivalent to a Canatarian is practicing the First Church of Cannabis. A Keef Ninja would be thy soldier in the Keef Army. This is what we're going to get into with this movie that came out, Deet & Back Save the World. You may recognize one of the characters who's well-known. I would say famous in that sense. I mean, maybe there's a generation gap between who knows him, but everybody knows Jay from Jay and Silent Bob, right? The movies, 90s, early 2000s, and kicking hard today with podcasting. They still go strong with their own podcast. Jay Muse, for those of you who don't know, had some hard times in life. And what sounds to be like the best friend in the world, Kevin Smith, pulled him out of that by making him go back on stage and talk about it in front of a crowd and using the power of podcasting. I mean, when people talk about this podcasting thing being a hobby or something that's not serious or non-competitive with the rest of the world and media, they don't understand what's going on. I mean, this is the internet that's creeping up behind you, where if you're an old school infrastructure hardware business and you're laughing off the internet, well, this is what podcasting is doing to terrestrial radio and broadcasting, television, and everything else. It's going to come up and get you. Kevin and Jay have created a podcast that is very successful, and you can find all that stuff on iTunes and everything else. I mean, as a podcaster, I support them. So watching him in this movie is kind of cool because it's definitely Jay. Matter of fact, one of the lines when I was watching the movie with my associate producer, Syndicate, he kind of goes, this is so Jay. He must be improvising because everything sounds just like him for something that would come out of, his mouth and his character. And sure enough, 2 days later, when I was interviewing Diablo, he said, yeah, a good part of the movie was improvised. They wrote a lot of their own lines, and that's really what brought the movie together, and it made sense. I was like, well, there you go. Bring talent and talent together and just kind of let it happen. The movie was so fun watching it, I guess for work, professionally. We did a review. We actually recorded ourselves watching the movie and reviewing it, Chris and I, Syndicate. We had a lot of fun, and we were following strict orders. The producer and director and writer of the movie, Diablo D, that for those watching this screener must be thoroughly high. I forget the exact verbiage he used, but we got the point and we did not want to let him down. So we followed orders. We watched the movie, we recorded it, and then 2 days later, I got Diablo on the phone here and we talked all about it. And that's what today's show is about. Not just making movies, not just cannabis. It's about life and how to basically make things happen in your life, things that you want to do, a path that's right for you, right? I think making stoner movies is a hobby. From the outside, it may look like that. Until you actually get into the details of what that means to produce anything. I put all of you to the challenge, to the 1 minute challenge. Produce a 1 minute bit of media. Get on YouTube, get on a microphone and record it. do a podcast, whatever. Do 1 minute. Just put yourselves to the realization of what 1 minute takes to produce, and then multiply that by making it good and entertaining with talented people and coordinating groups of people together. So Dietzenbach saved the world. They're stoners, part of the Keef army. Keef ninjas fighting. But Diablo's fighting a different kind of war. He's fighting the war of life out there of entertainers and creatives and those who don't want to be in cubicles working in some corporation for a measly wage job. He's out there creating something that lets him be more than just a stoner making movies. That's why I think this conversation is so valuable to the Cannabis Community Project. Because what we're going to learn today in today's conversation is the same thing I hit on every week when I talk to any other business. It's about navigating life. And of course, some technical details of how to do that. So sit back and listen, because we're going to jump right into it. We're going to quickly do our last week's short-term flashback relapse, just to remember what we learned last week on last week's show. You remember that? Michael Magliotti, did I say that right? From the MMJ Mafia, talked about his organization, how it started, how it came about, and where he's taking that. Take a couple minutes right now to do last week's short-term memory flashback relapse, and then we'll jump right into our long-form interview with Diablo D in the making of Dietzenbach Save the World. Here we go.
My name is Michael Magliotti, and I'm with the Medical Marijuana Mafia Association. It's a nonprofit foundation I'm trying to start to help get like-minded people together to help stop in marijuana prohibition.
Perfect. And I love the name.
Basically, my whole life, I've been accused of being in the mafia since my last name's Magliotti. And a few years ago, they named a street after my family and said, it's good. I'm going to start my own mafia of like-minded professionals that are all about helping people and care about any marijuana prohibition. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona now, but hopefully soon be able to move back to my hometown of Atwater, California. We're really starting to understand the benefits of medical marijuana and how industrial hemp can help save our planet. Well, back in 2008, a friend of mine that worked at an animal rescue shelter part-time and was helping patients with their medicine was caught by the police and was looking at 15 years in prison. So it kind of lit a fire under me to kind of help pass the medical marijuana initiative that was here in Arizona at the time.
Now, just to clarify the MMJ Mafia, is there a website where people can go to learn more about this or to find out if it's something close to where they are that they can join or get in touch with you?
Yes, it's www.onnow.tv.com/213. That's my channel number.
Do you have a crowdfunding campaign or any way of raising money that you're doing right now?
Not at this point. Something I'm looking into.
If you need any help on that, just let me know. I've done a few of those in the past. Those people that are giving you that advice of it's a bad name for t-shirts don't quite understand merchandising. It's a bad name maybe to register your company with, but as far as making t-shirts, it's the best name that you could possibly have. We're talking about making t-shirts, and t-shirts is not about what's clean and cut and non-offensive. T-shirts is about what looks cool and what sounds cool with phrases and taglines. And the MMJ Mafia is a great tagline.
Let me just go to www.onnowtv.com/213. It has my phone number, it has my email, it has my LinkedIn page, my Facebook page, links to that. That's just a one-stop shop for somebody to reach out to me and leave their ideas, comments, suggestions, and whatever they're passionate about. I'm more than willing to listen to other people's stories and helping them get a channel or post up one of their videos about whatever they're passionate about. So, like I said, it's www.onnowtv.com/213.
Excellent. Thank you very much, and we will make sure to be back in touch with you for another update shortly in the future.
Thank you for your time and allowing me to tell my story and try to raise awareness and get the story out there to the world.
Cool, man. So that's about it. Hey, you like the businesses you hear? Maybe you're a business just like that. Maybe you have a thought or an idea that would be perfect for this community. contact me. I'll get you on the air. I want to discuss these issues. Everything in the news, from health, legal, food, music, growing technology, business. We talk about it all here. Cannabis Community Project. I'm excited to announce we have a new sponsor. Please welcome Cushly Odor Eliminator. You heard them on the show. Now they've come on board officially as sponsors of the Cannabis Community Project. Give them a welcome. Reach out and say hi.
Yeah, the 6 degrees of Cushly. It's amazing.
That's what we want to do. We want everybody to express their creativity, get high, and if we can help you get laid, we're real happy.
Directed by Diablo D. Very Pulp Fiction looking.
Yeah, that was a Pulp Fiction scene. Two thugs get shot.
Right out of the gate,
Damn,
two
yeah.
headshots. Right out of the gate, action-packed. Two Pulp Fiction-looking guys get popped in the head. That's a good evil villain looking.
Yeah.
Got some TNA right. The first 5 minutes, not credits, not even done yet.
Keef for Army. Keef for Army. Keef for Army. Keef for Army. For Army. Keef for Army.
That's a new soldier and the Keef motherfucking army. Yeah! Throw your hands up, this is our prime. Building the Keef army, one soldier at a time. Puff, puff, pass it down the line. Building the Keef army, one soldier at a time. Throw your hands up, this is our prime. Building the Keef army, one soldier at a time. Puff, puff, pass it down the line. Building the Keef army, one soldier at a time.
Word is my chronics, to be perfectly honest. The mug gets the bomb, it's the Kermit the Frog. It's the reason your girlfriend is topless and skirtless. I'm sure that her esophagus burns from the bong hits. I'ma hit that, then forget that. I hit that, then forget that. I hit that, you can bet that. I forgot that, I said that, I forgot that. I dozed off, then woke up at a contract. My old boss would never get mad and chop half my toes off. I smoke pot and I don't stop. Inhale, then blow cough, then BC, Tom Brokaw. I'm deep in, bruh. I don't need an agenda. I'm weed in a blender. Call me Keef Ninja.
Throw your hands up, this is our prime. Building the Keef army, one soldier at a time. Puff, puff, pass it down the line. Building the Keef army, one soldier at a time. Throw your hands up, this is our prime. Building the Keef army, one soldier at a time. Puff, puff, pass it down the line. Building the Keef army, one soldier at a time.
Money be freaky deaky, pro with the licky licky. A chicken get the quickie, she give me that sticky icky. If she got the fire, the lighter go flicky flicky. Then get up in her pleasure pee like I'm pretty Ricky. I'm in that Keef army, baby at the Air Force. High up with the bomb on me, but you can share yours. Yeah, a friend with weed is a friend indeed. Sprinkle a little Keef, we can all get key. I'm always in the club telling chicks trying to get with me. Keep that flame up like the Statue of Liberty. I'm Chief Keef, but I ain't from Chicago. Unless you got that hydro, don't knock at my door.
Really? Proceed.
I feel it coursing through my veins. I'm the most powerful man in the world. Go!
Hello, Diablo? Hello, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hey, can you hear me, man? Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello, hello, hello. Hello.
Here's the thing. Once you get to your destination, as long as it itself is not a shithole, life is pretty good. But it's everything else. It's not the financial cost. It's the emotional cost, the mental cost, the toxic cost. Fuck that.
Hey, man, can you hear me?
Yeah, here you now.
All right. So, yeah, I don't know what happened on that last one.
That's what you're doing. You're doing it, man. Good job.
Thank you. Now that I got you on the phone, I don't want to take up too much of your time. So let's record a little bit and talk about your movie.
My name is Diablo D. I am the director of Dietzenbach Save the World and co-founder of the Keef Army.
Excellent. And I did watch this movie from front to back, as I'm sure you've sent out a lot of screeners and probably talked to a lot of people who didn't actually watch the movie. I made it a point to watch it. I did it with a co-producer of mine. We sat down on Friday night, and we followed your instructions thoroughly. For people who don't know, we were sent the screener under strict orders that we must be very high while watching the movie. So we made sure to follow orders. We watched it from front to back. We had a laugh. We had a good time. You know, we weren't really sure what the movie was going to be about. We didn't want to read into it too much. We didn't really want to look online too much about it. We wanted to watch it cold from the standpoint of just simply having a movie that we have an idea. It's kind of going to be a little bit of a stoner movie, but we didn't want to know anything else. So we put it on, thoroughly indulged in our medicine, and we had a good time for the hour and a half or whatever the full length of the movie was. So thank you for sending me that screener. That was a delight.
You're very welcome. And I'm glad that both accounts, you were able to successfully have a great night while medicated. And so thanks. Appreciate it.
Let's just kind of identify what the movie is. It's called Dietzenbach. Got a little smoke still caught up in my throat there. Good thing we're not live, though, right?
No, actually, that would be good because it's authentic, so that's okay. Go ahead.
So the movie is called Dietzenbach Save the World, and it is starring Jason Mewes, as most people would recognize him as Jay from the Jay and Silent Bob franchise movies. He's the long-haired guy who does all the talking. Most people can quickly identify with who that is. What is your relationship to Jason? Do you have a personal relationship? Was this an offer that was thrown out through an agent? How did you exactly get him to be your star in this movie?
Well, do you want the long story of all the other potential deeps and one deep that we had to fire before we got Jay, or do you just want me to tell you about Jay?
Because we have as much time as you need.
Great. Well, tell you what, the first deep was a guy named Dave Sheridan, who was a fucking amazingly talented, funny, comedic guy that most people might remember from Ghost World. He's the guy that walks into the convenience store and gets the pepperoni and has this little exchange with the clerk. It's awesome. And then he was also in Scary Movie where he was Officer Dewey. Remember Courtney Cox's brother, the stupid one? Okay, that's Dave Sheridan. Dave was going to be deep. We were ready to go. We were going to shoot the movie, and he got an offer for the lead of The Walking, not The Walking Dead. It's God, what's the name of it? It just came out. It's a spoof on The Walking Dead, and it's fucking hilarious.
Well, now I'm
confused. Look up Officer Dewey. Just Google Officer Dewey. I don't fucking remember, but he's funny as hell. If you Google Officer Dewey or just Dave Sheridan, and you'll see what he did in Ghost World. You'll see what he did in the Scary Movies. And now my answer is yes, he is in every Wayans Brothers spoof on Scary Movie. We're also producing two movies that we're going to be producing with him that he's one directing, the other one acting in, are going to be called Code of Duty, which is a fanboy adventure thriller of these guys that go to these Call of Duty fanboys. So it's going to be fun. And then a movie called Halloween 1986, which is just blood, guts, sex, and anything else you want. So that was the first deep. We lost him. It's funny. And it was an opportunity for him. And we said, no fucking way, man. You can't miss this. Go do it. We'll find another deep. And then we ended up going through a lot of talented people. David Arquette was one of them. He was almost deep. Sean Astin was almost deep. Jamie Kennedy, Corin Nemec. Gosh, who else? There's a bunch of people finally. And then also Jay. Jay said he could do it. And then Jay said he couldn't do it. And then we hired Eddie Furlong.
Oh, wow. American History X, brother.
Yeah, Eddie Furlong was deep. It started out great, but he ended up being 4 days late to set, which I don't know if people are familiar with how structured a movie shoot is time-wise. So you have everything, and when your lead character doesn't show up for 4 days because he couldn't leave California because he was on probation, and he didn't tell us that. So we suffered through that. We got him there, and I'm going to send you the clip. I'm going to send you one of the clips of Eddie as deep. You're going to fucking love it. And then you can post it as well if you want.
I'll put it on the YouTube CCP page.
There you go. Perfect. So what we did was we got him there, and then Eddie struggles with a lot of issues. and I'm just going to leave it at that. And the issues that he struggles with were so apparent after he was there for one day. We decided it was best that we shut down production because we couldn't recover from the lost days, you know. And that was in May of 2014. Then we shut down in May. We went back through hundreds of potential deals. And finally, Jay was available, and we got Jay. And up until that point, no, we didn't. We had never talked to him. We didn't have a relationship or anything.
It was just an offer that was sent out to his agent that he got communication.
Yeah, that's how it works. Is unless you know somebody, you have to send it. You know, you have to communicate everything through an agent, and that's not easy, man. Those agents they're tough to get through. So we considered it a win just to get to that point. Yeah, it was crazy. Jay is a friend. Jay's a family member. So you know, and because of him, you know, we've had access to amazing information, insights through him and Kevin, and we're blessed. So yeah, it's more like he kind of took pity on us. He's kind of said, okay, I'm going to take your piece of shit movie and turn it into a less piece of shit movie.
Now, do you mean literally a family member? Like literally or metaphorically?
No, he's such a fucking awesome dude. I mean, I'm telling you, when he came up here. Okay, so let me tell you, the footage that is Eddie footage that we shot for the Eddie time was when Bax rides up to the hookers on the street.
Yeah.
You know that part?
Yeah.
When Bax is in the room with the hooker.
Which I have to say, whatever you're thinking happens, you have no idea. You have to watch the movie. You know, I don't want to give too much away, but, well, let me just say, there might be some of you who have to turn your head. There might be some of you who are laughing both in pain of funny and horror at the same time. There's a few scenes in here where, let me just say, for those of you who are really into the genre of horror movies and thrasher movies, also has a good amount of TNA in it, as well as the shock factor. You're going to want to see this movie. Syndicate and I, my co-producer, as we were watching it, there were many times where we both jumped out of our seats, sometimes in horror and sometimes in a little bit of like, oh man, I was eating my piece of pizza right when you did that. So let me just have people check it out on their own. Just be prepared.
Got it. Well, you know that room that he's in with Catbox Kathy,
yes,
with the prostitute? That's Eddie's room. We shot that the day he left. That's Eddie's room. That's his bed. We used the bed since we already paid for it. And so, and yeah, that whole thing took place in Eddie's hotel. The exterior shot is not Eddie's hotel, obviously. Eddie was great. It just didn't work out. And so it's all good. But thank you for that. I'm telling you, yes, this movie now, I don't want to give it away either. But in the scene where Jay is making a present for Bax, do you think that was real, or did we make that?
Well, here's the thing. We actually had a discussion about this because there's a few things. There's a few things in the movie that we were wanting to know. That I specifically said, well, I have to ask him if these things are real, because as a more independent film, we were debating how much reality you would be allowed to, use as props in making the film. Mm-hmm. So we were talking about other films like Pineapple Express, where I actually heard an interview that all their product was fake and it was like made from artificial leaves that they glued together. It's just like a bunch of props, being more of, I guess, a bigger studio film. So that was one of the questions we were going to ask you. Well, let me just say there's a few scenes where there's some nudity, some male nudity, where we were just going to assume those are props.
Yeah. Jeremy Garner is our special effects guy. He made, and we're just going to say this, I'm just going to say it, he made the foot. So that foot was not obviously real. So he made the foot. He created a piece of apparel for Bax that he wears in the movie. He also created the body part in question, which that thing, you should see the pictures, the behind-the-scenes pictures. We have everybody took that thing and did or put it in places that it shouldn't have been, and has hundreds of pictures of it.
Well, I have to ask, where did you cast the women in the movie? Who a few of them must have spent hours upon weeks in certain scenes in certain positions, just from the nature of filming. Were these friends? Were these just casting call women? What was the relation? Because there's quite a few scenes where it must have been hours of shooting.
Yeah, well, let me tell you what. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Portland, but Portland has the reputation of being the strip joint capital of the world.
Really?
Oh, yeah. There's probably, I bet you there's 400 strip joints in the city of Portland.
Wow.
And they're complete nudity. Absolutely, completely nude.
With
They'll come. They
alcohol.
can walk up and with alcohol and whatever else you can score while you're there.
Well, that's the difference between complete nude and other places. Like here in Colorado, if it's complete nude, no alcohol is allowed to be served.
Oh yeah, no, it's everything you want. And not only that, and I'll tell you, that was the big challenge. We realized very quickly that since our shooting schedules are typically always in the morning, most of these women have to work till late hours at night. There were a few days where none of them showed up, and we were just driving to them. We need you. We'll pay you $200. We need you for the day. Let's go. Oh, okay, I'll go. And we didn't want to see what you would see. We can safely say we do not discriminate against press in this movie. You see all kinds.
Oh yeah.
And it was out of desperation. Every bar scene with Javier was supposed to have no less than 15 naked women, and you saw how many we ended up with.
Well, not only that, he was always being serviced in one way or another, which was quite humorous, but also just as somebody who's thinking about production aspect, not just watching the movie itself. I'm always just thinking about the production aspect. I'm just thinking, my God, that woman must have been on her knees for 12 hours that day.
Oh, no, I know who you're talking about. She is awesome. Her name is Luann. She works at a Safeway here. We were desperate. Like, hey, we got this scene, and you want to pay this guy's sister, and do you mind showing your boobs? And she's from Georgia. Oh, hell no, I love to do that. And here's what happened. So we shot 99% of that whole movie in 12 days.
Really?
I mean, it doesn't take as long as you think it does, yeah.
Because of the guerrilla aspect of just kind of grabbing people for scenes on the day and shooting?
No, it was because it has to be efficient. There's only so much money, So if you have X amount of money, then you realize, okay, well, that leaves us with 12 days of shooting. Let's go. Actually, we had 15. We shot it. We were 3 days ahead of schedule. But
is that including the 4 days Eddie prolonged?
No, that doesn't include that. And that's what I was going to tell you. So the scenes that's where we got sidetracked. The scenes, which I'm glad to do, the scenes that were from the Eddie experience, the scene with Bax, his name is Craig, and Catbox Kathy in the hotel room, when he rides up to the prostitutes on the street, when Javier is in the bedroom and he's on the phone with Pete doing what he's doing with the girl. Oh, and at the beginning there, Gerard's getting head by that girl, and the monitor, you see the monitor shot, and he's in that weird room.
Right.
That's it. Everything else, that was shot, it was like 3 minutes. I think it was like 3 minutes. That was shot during the Eddie fiasco, and then the rest of it was shot in 12 days.
So, and then it was just edited together, pieced together after the fact.
Oh, yeah, it's still the same storyline. Yeah. It's all still, it would have been in the same spot anyway. It was just that this was footage from that, but it all worked out, man. It was a challenge. It was tough, but
what was the budget?
Making movies.
What was the budget of the movie?
If I hadn't made the mistakes I made and had to shut down everything, it would have been under 300. It almost ended up being 420 exactly, but it ended up going to probably just south of $500,000.
Is this raised from production companies, investors, crowdfunding? Where do you get the funds for it?
One investor.
One investor.
Yep.
Ooh. Is that more pressure than having multiple investors?
I don't know. It's my first movie. I'll tell you next time.
I mean, when you have
if I get a chance to make another one.
Right. But it's like, I think about it, like the way I relate is like with my show. Like if I only had one sponsor that was responsible for funding my entire project, I would feel a little different than the 4 sponsors that I have. You know, if I lose one, it's a temporary loss, but I still keep the production moving. When you have one person, I feel like, wow, that's like one person you got to look to and respond to.
I agreed. However, I just look at it as, you know what, this is a good problem. If I'm making a movie, all problems are good problems to have associated with it. I'm doing it.
So you're the director, co-writer,
and producer, and writer. Co-writer. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. My investor is my business partner, so it's not like a traditional investor. He was the editor. He edited the movie.
Okay.
His name's Alan. He's my business partner. He edited the movie. He was the DIT, which is a very crucial role of handling all of the data as it captured and filmed. And so he handled all that. I could never complain. This is not the typical investor relationship. This guy's like a brother to me, so it's awesome.
Oh, no, I would say that's even better to have him involved in the operations of production, because then there's some investment there where he's vested, not just from a financial standpoint, but also from, hey, I'm part of building this highway here.
Oh, yeah.
If the train goes off the rails, I was there pounding some of the nails in.
Oh, yeah. Don't think for a minute I was feeling horrible when we had but it all worked out, man.
Is this officially launched? Is this still in the stages of getting distribution? Where are you at in this?
If somebody goes and finds it on VHX, they can rent it or buy it. I think we've had a pretty good fair amount of success, but we're waiting. There's a couple of moving parts are. There's a movie called Hardcore coming out here pretty soon, and you look it up. It's fucking amazing. It is the best first-person shooter action movie you will ever see, ever. And so go out there, called Hardcore the movie. And the reason I'm telling you this is because Ilya Naishiller, the director of that movie, is also the singer, the writer, and the lead singer of Biting Elbows, who performs the song Bad Motherfucker, which opens our movie.
So are you part of a new genre that you're creating, or would you consider yourself in what? Where would you consider yourself? Thrasher?
No, we consider ourselves a transmedia company, and a production company. And here's what we're doing. As far as the hardcore, we may work out a deal where we launch with those guys, because it's the same demographic. Genres, you can have 15 genres, but they can all be the same person.
Right.
Especially with guys, that's easy. Here's what we're doing. We're creating what's called the Keef Army universe. No different than the Marvel universe, except they have a head start. And yeah, we're creating comic books, apps, all kinds of cool shit around Deaton Backs. We're going to be going to all the Comic-Con starting in January with Jay and the Keef Army and Muse Juice. It's going to be fucking badass. But then we're also going to be shooting a prequel to Deaton Backs. And this is to introduce a few other characters in the Keef Army universe. Because we're going to be our movies, we have 12 movies planned that we're going to be shooting, including characters you've already met through the Keef Army, the Deaton Backs movies, and the other Keef Army movies. And they're going to be going backwards, forwards, sideways in time all the time. And we're just going to be spitting out content through the movies, the comic books. Wait till you see the apps. We're doing some apps that are going to have some cool fucking games and experiences and tie you to other things, like a thing called the Keef Army Abides. The Keef Army Abides is going to be cool. It's and that's going to explode in about 2 weeks. Just wait for it on a national level, because we're going to be doing some guerrilla marketing.
Dude, I'm excited hearing about it. Just that whole franchise of multimedia kind of layering over itself is an exciting way to think about it, because it lets somebody really immerse themselves into a community that's not just about, hey, talking about this movie or talking about this song. You're inside a community that's all around you of multiple media formats. It's really mind-boggling to think about where that can go as far as uniforming a group of people and bringing kind of a single-minded group of people, not just financially to support you with buying all the merchandise, but they're in moral support to make it a franchise that turns into a lifelong company that supports many thousands of people and jobs and characters and creative outlets and everything else that can come through those type of portals where people find something they can latch onto and really explore themselves and become whatever they want to become. A director, a writer, a comic book reader, or just a fan that just gets to hang out in that type of community. Imagine like a Star Wars fan that had the ability to go somewhere on weekends and hang out, another planet with the characters, or to hang out in the fly through a spaceship. It's the same idea that you immerse yourself into that world. So it's exciting to hear you talk about that and where it's going.
Well, thank you.
Jason Mewes is a good person to represent that.
Oh, exactly. And ultimately, not only do we have Jay to thank for, but Kevin. Yeah, we've had a great brief opportunity to meet him. We are adopted. If you look at that model that he has created for himself out of necessity, he didn't look to other people. He created everything he did in a vacuum, and he did an amazing job. And we're looking at that and we're thinking that's exactly what we want to create. And you're right about the community, because when it comes to making films, we're all about the crew. We like the cast too, but we like the crew, the people that are committed, just like you are, to creating and exchanging art and information. And even though our movie may not represent art, it is an expression of a lot of people's passions to make movies. And that's why we're doing this. You're right. We want to create a gathering. We want to create. We love the Comic-Con world. We think that can grow and expand. It's more like validation. When I go into a room of filmmakers, it's like I'm home. I'm equal with them. We're the same. We talk about stuff. There's no egos. It's all heart. It's all expression. And so hopefully, we hope that those are the experiences among getting high and hopefully helping them get laid. That's what we want to do. We want everybody to express their creativity, get high, and if we can help you get laid, we're real happy.
That's a great soundbite. I'm going to use that. I've always thought about it in the sense of it's community with a transparent line between top of the line and bottom of the line of who's involved in that community, where you have a central base, like you have the crew and the creative who are creating content, creating the movies and the comic books and the shows and everything else in that media. But then you have the fans who, in a way, they're on the other side of the line, but that line is very transparent. So the fans, in a way, are kind of constantly bleeding over over into that central crew of those creating the content, where the fans from time to time become part of that side, and then they go back to the other side. And that's what creates more than just simply fans. It creates those kind of dedicated diehards that feel like they're not just people watching from the outside in. They know there's a possibility they could be on the other side for a brief moment, involved in either creating the content or just being part of the content, where they almost become symbiotic, or what's the word where you blend into the
symbiote. That's you blend it, and I'm glad you brought that up, because Periscope is fucking awesome. Can I take a minute and tell you what we're going to be doing on Periscope?
Please.
We realized that when we were shooting, we were going to do a Kickstarter, and rightfully so. Jay told us to fuck off, and we were looking back. We're glad that he did, because he's like, come on guys, let's make a fucking movie and let's do this thing the right way. And not that Kickstarter's not the right way, but what we were trying to do was wrong. So I'll just leave it at that. So we felt that people would love to get a front row seat on the making of. Imagine if you could log in on a Tuesday knowing that we're about to shoot a scene and watch us prepare and shoot a scene and have Jay or somebody give everybody a shout out that's watching. With Periscope, we can do that, and we're going to do that. Not only are we going to do that when we're on set and shooting and creating these amazing works of art that our fans follow and allow us to do, but we're also, during the pre-production stage, we're going to be encouraging and inviting fans to participate through Periscope, and we're going to give them options. Okay, here is a scene. Here are 3 options, and we are considering these 3 options for the outcome, the punchline, whatever. We would like our Periscope fans to give us 3 more options, and we will choose one of those, and one of those will become one of our 3. Things like that, letting them become part of the creative process.
That reminds me of being a kid reading those books where you get the certain chapters and it says, if you want to make this decision, go to page 42, or if you want to make this decision, go to page 13, and it changes the story based on how you choose paths of the story that you're reading. It kind of reminds me a little bit of that, what you're talking about, where you kind of take it to a point and then you present it to the audience, they give you a feedback, and then you develop it in that direction based on that feedback. So it's constantly changing, even though you're maintaining the same characters and ideas and story, but because of the interaction, it's a constantly changing thing that could never be foreseen or pre-written until you get to that point of interaction with the fans or the audience, followers.
Exactly. Not only that, you're right. As a filmmaker, I like that. You're right. I like those sparks of creativity that expand and can grow into other things. More importantly, as a fan of this shit, I love it when I can see the look in somebody's eyes. My line got into a fucking movie. I mean, it gives them ownership, and that's what we want. We want to create opportunities for interaction. We don't want to just every now and then spit out products, and here you go, fans, and we go back into our caves. We want to create an environment where our fans are fans for a reason, because they're like us. And why would we not want to be around more people like us?
Let me do a shameless request promotion here.
Yep, go right ahead.
In one of your next 12 movies, can you have somebody listening to the Cannabis Community Project podcast in like the background or something, or like somebody turning on their iPhone or something and having a podcast or something they're listening to, and want the Cannabis Community Project to be part of the Keef Army?
How about this? Listen to this. Here's what I'm willing to do. I'm going to do this. In the prequel to Deaton Baxter, it's untitled. We don't have a title for it yet. How about this? How about we were going to have one of the storylines was going to be this agent was going to communicate with these other people through these series of messages. Here's what we're going to do. How about we have the Cannabis Community Radio, Cannabis Community Project. We will make that in the show, in the movie, we'll make that pretty much the go-to source for sex, guns, weed, or whatever you want the message to be. If it was me, I'd say sex, guns, weed, but it's up to you. And then we can now that communication between these two people can happen through secret messages. She'll be a call into your show, and she has a sexy fucking voice. She'll be a call into the show, and the way she answers questions is going to be the code that this other guy responds to and does the shit he does, which is pretty spectacular. How about that?
Yeah. You've seen the movie American Graffiti, right?
Harrison Ford's first movie? Fuck, never heard of it. No way. What
kind of that that sense of like the
Wolfman Jack, right there.
It's
Wolfman.
like how that interaction with the community, right? It's like, here's this.
I am impressed. I am so impressed, because instead of saying here's how I came up with it watching Starship Troopers. I thought that's what we need. We need that voice that doesn't belong to anybody, but it narrates for everybody.
Right.
Remember that was the news. It was like, we always say, the all that shit. So you came up with something even better. You went way to the Wayback Machine to something that was fucking cool. American Graffiti is cool. Starship Troopers is like eating bubblegum for a week. It doesn't do any good.
No, not at all. Because it's all based on the same idea. It's based on the same idea of it's something that the community's connected to, but there's no direct individual. Not like I'm talking to Bob. I'm talking to everybody, but everybody knows what it is without really there being a discussion of what it is. You know, and that's why when I think of American Graffiti, that's what I think of. And the way they shot it, right? It was like a mysterious, you know, it had that kind of mystique to it. And so the way they shot it, I think they were trying to convey that same message that it's not just some morning DJ. It was a different type of vibe. It was something that the kids related to, that was there in communication. So maybe the Keef Army can have it be like that, like you're saying, like that's where the messages are sent out, coded type script. What is being said or what type of music or whatever is being played, whatever it can represent. The podcast doesn't have to be exactly what I do. The podcast can be fictionalized into whatever. Just hold the name Cannabis Community Project radio show or radio or whatever, something like that.
No, Will, it'll do. I like the podcast. Podcast is relevant. It works. I like that.
Yeah.
Nope. CCP. I like that.
CCP radio show. Now, I noticed, is there like a merchandise store that's up where people can buy like these Keef Army shirts and the hats? Because I noticed the movie obviously had some good merchandising. You know, it was like set up to say like, you know, obviously this is going to be sold somewhere. Or where can somebody go to find it?
We haven't decided yet. So here's the thing: we're independent. Luckily we're not in a hurry. We want to get the movie out in the world. We want it to grow and all that stuff. We want to do it right. So there are options as a film. When you're doing merchandise and retail like this, we are in the process of setting up a retail network of about 4,000 weed-centric or vape shops or head shops and of the like, things like that. And as we're doing that, we may license the Keef Army name. You know, we have a bunch of different bongs, and we even have silver bullets, you know, the little vibrators for women. If you're a fan of Keef Army, we have the stuff. We have a ton of. We have the Keef Commander bong. We have a bunch. We have a ton of stuff. We have the Agent Blue, and then it's a badass piece of glass it's for dabs. It's got a kick-ass nail. Wait till you see it, and it lights up neon blue, and it's got her face and her eyes on it, and they light up blue too.
But
yeah, it's pretty badass.
Was that used in the movie?
No, but she's beautiful. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah. I thought you were talking about like the stuff they were actually using in the movie though. Like the
stuff we're using. That's all cool. No, we're talking about taking the name and making an Agent Blue, Keef Army Agent Blue bong.
Oh, okay.
That represents Agent Blue in the movie.
Well, hey.
And then we have a Keef Commander bong.
Well, let's do this. Do you have these shirts and hats printed, or did you just print enough to make the movie?
Yes and no. We have some printed, yes.
All
but
right.
what happened between then and now? We created a logo in the movie that you don't see. You know how you see where it says Keef Army that comes through the smoke?
Yeah.
The transition.
Yeah.
Well, that used to be a ninja head. The ninja head that's on the shirts in the movie.
Uh-huh.
Well, we infringed on somebody else's trademark with that logo. We had to shut everything down. We took the movie down. We shut it. We had to change the movie. But when we did that, we realized that now we have a new logo. And when we relaunch, once we have our the retail network in place and we know who our partners are, then we relaunch. It'll be a different logo. So the 75 shirts that we have left, and we have 5 crew shirts that only our crew got. So we have 80 shirts with the old logo, the only 80 in existence. That as we go forward, we'll be raffling off and we'll be donating to good causes and things like that. But as far as the new apparel, we're not even really selling it yet because there's some other partners we may be working with within the cannabis industry and the music industry that might alter kind of how we promote everything, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So 2 things. I have 2 questions. First, I want to just jump back real quick and just say the things you learn as a producer, especially when it comes to copyright, trademark, and all the technical administrative details of putting together a production. The logo that comes through the cloud, is that a throwback to a comic Batman style type look that you are going for?
100%.
Okay.
I'm a lot older than most. I'm not your average guy that makes stoner comedy. I'm a little older, so I got to sit there and watch that transition. I loved it. And here's the thing: when it comes to watching movies, I have ADD. You either better keep my interest, or you're going to lose me. And even this movie is 20 minutes too long. Easily 20 minutes too long, because it's our first one. Didn't know what we were doing, and so I knew that I wanted to not lose anybody's interest. I try to not do any stupid transitions or walk out the door, walk in the door, and that kind of stuff, and we want it to look cool.
In respect to the movie itself, in where it falls, I don't want to give too much away, but where would you rate it on a scale of, like, let's first talk about blood and gore, guts and glore.
Okay.
Where would you rate it? Let's say 5 being a Saw-like, right? And 1 being, I don't know, some CBS late night drama.
Okay.
Where would you put this movie?
Before I rate it, I would tell you that I wanted to spend another $100,000. There were scenes that we couldn't shoot that would have blown you away. Some action stuff. There was another $100,000 that might have went into the special effects, and if that would have happened, that shootout, it would have been slow-mo. The bullets would have came out of the gun Matrix style, hit people. It would have been amazing. Since we didn't get that, I call our Blood and Guts a 1.5.
Oh, really?
I mean, you tell me. I mean, because here's the thing.
You're
I look
saying
at it
just above CBS late night drama show?
Okay, then I'd say we're average. I'd say 2.5, middle of the road.
Without just saying exactly what's going on, there are some headshots in the movie, which show some blood. There's some knife work that goes on that does pretty distinctly show. Let's just think, if you were in a sausage factory, as they say, sometimes you don't want to see how the sausage is made. There's a couple scenes that involve not necessarily blood and guts, but you might want to push your food away from your plate, especially talking about with the prostitutes, and I'll let people see for themselves on that one. So in that realm, I would have to say it's got to be at least a 3, just from those standpoints away. Maybe even a 3.5, because we saw very directly some pretty bloody gutty type stuff.
Well, thank you, and I have to thank Jeremy Garner for that. We didn't have a big budget for that. Jeremy Garner, he's also, I would encourage anybody to look him up. He's also a director of horror films, very good ones. He just last year he did All Hell Breaks Loose. Go check it out. It's got Danger Aaron from Jackass in it. Yeah, Jeremy Garner, he is a wizard when it comes to creating props and special effects and things like that. So glad you like that, but all it goes to him.
And I'll say this, that if you're a person who enjoys the funner aspect of a thriller or horror movie, this is definitely the more enjoyable way of watching blood and guts. The reason I don't necessarily like Saw movies is not because of the blood and guts, it's more because of the psychological and emotional aspect to it that wraps me into a different frame of mind. Where your movie, representing kind of more of a comic side of things, it shows blood and guts, but you don't walk away from it, feeling sad and like you need to call your mom that night. It's a lighter side of blood and guts, and it's a character-based thing. The evil character in the movie has a very distinct look to him that is a Bond villain type look, and the other characters are very character-like. So that's why I say, it's definitely blood and guts, but it's something you can have fun with. Maybe not something I would want my daughter, age 7, watching, but definitely nothing that's going to make you feel awkward or weird about it.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you. Now, let me ask you a question. Our goal was also to surprise people. I want people to go, I can't believe they just did that. Did you have any of those moments in this movie?
Well, as my associate producer syndicate sitting next to me as we watched the movie will attest to, there was at least 5 to 7 times where we physically jumped out of our seat to either run in the other room screaming, not necessarily like I got scared type screaming, not that kind of thing. It's not The Ring, but like, oh my God, I can't believe I just saw that. I can't unsee that.
It was one of those times when Jay was in his living room.
So you
don't remember?
Here's the times that
you can't give it away, though. You can't give it away.
Well, here's the times that shocked me the most. The prostitute scene in the hotel shocked me from a sense that I was literally eating at the time.
Oh, you mean that'll cost you extra? You know what we did? I wish I could tell you how we shot that. I wish I could tell you. It was so fucking awesome, and we all wrote it that way. But to really sell it, we did 3 takes. In her reaction when she says, "That'll cost you extra, fat boy," it just wasn't coming off right. And you know why? Because we didn't have anything in her mouth while she was saying it. And then Craig goes, "Here, have her put some milkshake in her mouth and say it." And that was it. So now that you know she just had milkshake in her mouth, do you feel better?
Well, let people be forewarned that regardless of whether you know how a movie is made, watching something still does not take away your brain's ability to think it's real at the time you're watching it, right? It doesn't matter whether you tell yourself, well, this is just a movie. Obviously, they did some kind of production. They must. Here's the props that you. That's irrelevant because your brain does not actually let you connect that thought with what you're watching. So your body still reacts in such a visceral way that, there's just certain things that you're just going to react to. I assume you were intentionally trying to take things beyond the point of what we would expect the line to be drawn at, correct?
Exactly, because here's the thing. We realize we're going to make this balls to the wall movie and take it as far as it can. And as far as time and money will allow us. There are 5 pranks that didn't make it into the movie. There are 5 and that were funnier than anything you've already seen. We ended up cutting out about 60 pages of this thing because we were going to run out of time. We knew it. So we improvised. Another thing you don't know is 70% of the dialogue is completely improvised. Those motherfuckers know what they're doing.
How does that work? You set a premise, like an outline, like here's roughly what's going on, and then you just do multiple takes as they come up with stuff?
Yeah, it depends. In some situations, because we literally made things up, we cut pages out and stuff, and we thought, okay, well, listen, we'd brainstorm, and we would come up with a construct and say, all right, let's just do it. We'd give ourselves 3 takes. We had a few things what we completely created completely organically that way, but the majority of it was more of a construct. It was more of, here's the room, here's what's going on, here's the dialogue we have written. Everything was 3 takes. So I said, you take the dialogue as it's written. If you nail that, you get 2 of your own. And they'd nail it all. They knew it because they'd be vanilla about it. And like, hey, Deke, do you really want to do this? And he's like, no, Bax, I don't. Instead of, no, just to fuck with me. And then I'm like, and because they just wanted to get to there. And then they go, okay, here we go. And then the next 2, There you go. Here's another thing. Did you like the scene with the doctor where they're asking him about the different ways to get paid and all that stuff?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's 100% improvised. They knew the construct. They threw out the dialogue that I had.
Oh my God.
They're like, no.
That honestly, like if you pick scenes out, that was probably one of the funniest scenes in just the sense that they seem so natural in their acting that the back and forth between the two of them, and then the timing, the punchline at the end, the way they look up and, the reaction and everything, the timing of that is so dead on that you laugh out loud. It was just such a great scene. That in itself you should pull out as a clip and send me so I can put it on YouTube, because that scene in itself is just a hilarious scene.
I will send you some stuff today you can put on YouTube, some that nobody's ever probably seen, and then you can cut it. You do whatever you want. Here's what I'll do. I'll send you what we called our proof of concept after that the Eddie fiasco when we had to shut everything down.
Okay.
And you'll see his one scene that he did good. He did one good scene. Everything else, not so much. So he's not for lack of trying.
And then people can kind of get a judge for themselves of what the actual movie is, and then they can go to your website to download it.
Yeah, they can rent it, download it. There you go. Just punch in Keef Army. It'll take you right there.
Keef Army and Google it. So
www.keefarmy.com.
Where since we are rating this movie, we left out the other category. So we did the Bloods and Gore, but now we need to rate it based on its sex and nudity content. Where would you base this? Again, 1 being like what you could show on late night drama, NBC, and a 5 being basically Cinemax, Showtime, HBO, without censorship, basically. Where would you put this?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because maybe you can help us out. We will help you out if you help us out. We want to be on the El Rey Network. Right now, they're looking for movies. We don't think our sex can make it on the El Rey Network. Are you familiar with El Rey?
I am not.
Oh, kung fu movies all day motherfucking long.
Really?
Interviews with Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez, who owns the network.
Is this
check that shit out.
Is this a web-based? Because I don't...
No, it's on TV. It's on channel, I don't know. I have Comcast out here in Vancouver.
I don't have any cable or satellite. Everything I do is through the computer.
Well, look, it's El Rey, ELREY, El Rey Network. Look it up. See what you can do. Because here's what we're trying to do. They're looking for independent films and independent filmmakers. They allow cussing. They don't allow any nudity. Yeah, check that out. I apologize for throwing a sidebar. But now, to get back to your question.
You think they're going to disqualify you because you have too much? Is that what you're saying?
No. Well, you just edit it for TV. I'm not worried about that.
Oh, okay.
But I'm just saying, so for nudity, it just reminded me when you said for TV and stuff. I would say it's 100% just gratuitous. It does nothing to move the story forward, except give you this. It was up to me that a movie would have no dialogue, just a bunch of moving pictures and action and shit. That doesn't sell. So for me, I figured if there were going to be any scenes with dialogue that might bore people or drag people down, the titties will keep them looking at the screen. So just put them in there.
That's funny. The movie is packed with everything from tits to dick, to be honest. I mean,
what did you think about that? Because we watched this on a theater. We had a screening wrap party for our cast on 420 here in Portland. The only scene, my favorite scene, the only reason I wanted to watch this movie was to see that scene with Javier in getting the tattoo. Because I thought, in my opinion, I've never seen a scene with that much going on. Like, what the fuck is, everywhere you look, it's something you've never seen or maybe never want to see again.
That's one of the scenes where you see the setup, right? So right from the get-go, you can see what the girl is doing. And then in your mind, you go, well, okay, I see what they're doing. This is where this scene is going to stop. And then the camera continues to pan around in a close-up where you actually see what the girl is tattooing, where it's one of those things where you go, they just crossed the line. It's like we knew from the get-go what she was doing, and then you zoomed right in and just basically blatantly said, here's what she's doing. So it's one of those
scenes. And on
scenes.
top of that, she's topless.
You have to pay extra to your actors for nudity.
Oh, yeah. Everybody and anybody out there that has a girlfriend or a wife or a sister, mother, I don't know, that wants to be in our movies, we pay $250 a day for topless nudity. And I guarantee it, you ask any of them, they'll be some of the best times they had in their lives.
But more importantly, do they get credit in the movie?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, look, if you look in the titles, it'll be, well, most of them are Javier's harem girl.
But it's still a credit with somebody's name attached to it.
Oh, it's a credit with their name, and some of them it's a stripper name. And get this. Okay, so here's the story. Okay, so the girl that was on Javier in the scene when he's on the phone, I'll just say that. You remember that?
Yes.
Okay, and she's basically riding him. Okay, so she's a stripper here in Portland, great stripper. I've seen her work. And so she's doing it. And now what you have to understand is in that room was, do you know who Wes is, by the way? No, it's Wes Cage, Nick Cage's son.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, look at him. Would you think he's 23? He was 23 when he shot that.
Like many things in all movies, it's hard to really get a judge for what somebody really is.
But he's good. So anyway, back to the girl. So she's in this room. You've got our crew, which is probably 15 people in there, including Wes's pregnant wife, Danielle. And they're all sitting there. And I'm telling this girl, you got to ride him. Ride. And she's like, okay. And then I said, and I'll be sitting there, a little bit more noise. And then she got to where she couldn't do it anymore. She's too embarrassed, which kind of blew me away. But we still got just enough to get it done.
They're all professional actors. Is there really a lot of tension and anxiety, or is it just, it's a scene, like any other, and you just kind of have people staring at you and you're told to do it, and you just do it?
No, it's not a typical scene at all. I think for some people it can be a bad experience, but we take great care to be very respectful. Right. All of these women have robes. None of them expose themselves until literally right before we start rolling. Then we have production assistants ready immediately. When we get cut, everybody has the option to put a robe on. Some of them don't take it, but it's actually very respectful. I mean, we want people to realize that yes, we understand what you're doing, but we want to show appreciation and respect, because you think about it, it's not easy to be naked in front of anybody, let alone 20 people, and then God knows how many other people, and then not only naked, but you're performing a sex act. So we appreciate those opportunities to work with people like that and then show them the film industry isn't like what you might think. It's a very familial surrounding situation.
Based on kind of the first two aspects, we talked about the guts and gore and then just the nudity and sex. How do you actually still go about rounding up all these actors? They're all actors out there looking for work. What is it that actually draws them to a movie? What's the pitch? Is it a money pitch? Is it a connection of relationship? Is it just pure story? What brings in all these actors so you can actually put together a film?
Well, I can't speak for everybody, all the actors, but I can tell you that Portland is a very interesting, eclectic film community with a lot of creative and talented people, and so we have a lot of resources here. But to tell you the truth, what brought all the boys to the yard was Jay. Period. Once we got Jay, the troubles were over. I mean, let me let me take that back. Our troubles weren't over, but certain challenges that we did have were literally just evaporated because, I mean, if you think about it, whether you're part of our crew or supporting cast, but how many times you get an opportunity to work with somebody like that?
Right. His name draws attention, and then his relations draw potential opportunities, and it kind of keeps giving, as the relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. We already had majority of our cast already picked out, or at least on the radar. But as far as crew goes, crew is where we really benefited from Jay. If you're a filmmaker out there, you know how vital a first AD is. We got Esther Johnson. Esther Johnson was the first AD in all 3 Sharknadoes. She's the first AD in all the Z Nation on Sci-Fi. She's fucking brilliant. I mean, I completely contribute that to Jay. She, good people want to work with good people. And so I basically back away. That's what I like to do on our projects. So I like to back away and bring good people to the table and tell our investors or our fans, like, you know what? Don't look at me. Look at this team that we brought together to perform and entertain you.
As the producer of this, how do you go about this? Do you lock him in a long-term contract because his name and face is riding on this franchise? Do you let him become a producer so he has an investment in it? How do you go about it as a producer trying to make a project here?
Mm-hmm. Well, when it comes to Jay, we wait for our opportunities. I mean, because Jay's got his Mallrats 2 coming up. He's also got Clerks 3 coming up, Yoga Hosers, and Moose Jaws. 4 movies coming up, him and Kevin are doing. So there is going to be a Deatonbacks 2. Jay's cool with that. We know he's always going to be there. So we wait for that opportunity and to create a window, and then we move forward. But as far as a producer, we want both Jay and Kevin as producers. We want to work with them as producers. So if there's any fans of Deatonbacks, or if anybody becomes a fan of Deatonbacks and they want Deatonbacks to get better, go to Smodcast or Kevin and Jay's page and tell them they want them to be Keef Commanders in the Keef Army, and it might happen.
There you go. I think that's a good way to kind of wrap it up and send that message out there so people remember it.
If you're a fan of weed and the weed culture and the weed outlook and the weed perspective, it doesn't mean getting high. It's just that perspective of puff, puff, pass, brother. There's enough to go around for everybody. Let's engage. Let's all try to get rid of all this bullshit. And because of all this division and all this shit that's going on in our country right now, we created a part of the Keef Army called the Keef Army Abides, meaning that we all abide everybody and everything. And to show that we mean that, we're going to be giving groups like breastfeeding advocates and legalization of gay marriage and cannabis activists $1,000 for approved project. We will give them the ability to go, and some people call it protesting, I call it engaging, to go forth and get your message out to the world, and we'll help them with that. That's going to be coming out, and it's going to be coming out huge very soon.
Well, let's make sure to get all that information on my website. Make sure to send me all the information, links, images, anything I can, put it on my website so people can see it and link to it from there. Yeah.
And one other thing, our film festival circuit starts in Boise next Friday. We're going to be in Boise, Idaho, representing the Keef Army and welcoming new Keef Ninjas into the fold. So if any of your listeners or anybody wants to go and show some support to the Boise Film Festival, that would be awesome too.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to be part of the Keef Army, and I think other people will respond just as well. So let's get that message out there and have people find it and support it, and visit the websites and everybody else involved. Send messages, send emails, communicate, connect, share with your friends, let people get tuned in.
Yes, and we have those opportunities in the Keef Army. And those will be coming out later. We have opportunities for scriptwriters. We have opportunities for people that want to be production assistants. We're going to have a production assistant network that we're going to create. So if you're a production assistant, doesn't matter what city you're in and you want to be one, when projects come up, people will be alerted, and then our Keef Ninja production crews will be everywhere.
Well, there we go, man. Just do something, right? That's all it takes. Exactly what you said. Do something, because do the same thing that we did. I mean, you got a spark one day, and you came up with a podcast, and you're going to do your thing, and that's your commitment and passion showing through. So I encourage everybody to go out there, just start creating, start shooting, start filming, just get involved in the process of creation and looking back and say, hey, I made that. Right on. Exactly. Last question.
Yep.
Were they actually smoking weed in the movies, or is it a prop?
First thing is Jay is in recovery right now. I'll start with that. He had significant issues with heroin. and pretty much anything that was opiate based. I don't know if people should be aware of that. He had a time and he came out of it, and his Kevin Smith's podcast, and this is for you podcasting and for you, Kevin Smith's podcast, Jay and Kevin Get Old, and the ones that they're doing, 100% started for one reason: an outlet for Jay to start doing something, to go out, to start talking about it, to start engaging. When you abuse anything, whether it's video games, cheeseburgers, drugs, masturbation, it doesn't matter. You disengage from society. And so one of the main keys that Kevin and other smart people can realize is re-engaging. You have to re-engage them in something, first of all, they want to do. And that's what he did. And so their podcast, which right now they're in Australia to sold out shows of about 12,000 people a piece, I think, because of a podcast about getting a guy straight. So if those guys can do that, I mean, come on. The potential's everywhere.
That was a question that was packed full of worms I had no idea about.
Well, good. You know what? I feel I accomplished something today. I love it when the light bulb sparks on for somebody, so there you go.
Yeah, I'm glad I got that question in at the end, because I feel like that's a huge piece of news that I'm sure many people know about.
Yeah.
I personally didn't to that detail. But
so now to answer your question. So no, they did not smoke any weed. We did have some real weed on the set, but really what those were is we hired about 5 production assistants, and their only job, and if you go to my Facebook page, Roger Dean on Facebook, and you'll see it there, or even on the Dean Back Facebook page, which actually you should go to that one instead, because mine's boring. You'll see where they're making the pot plants.
Okay.
So those are all a combination of, I think they're called Japanese maples, and then a bunch of moss, honey, and glitter to make the buds, like all sticky bud, you know? And what they were smoking was a combination of green tea, literally just green tea, which is what Bax ended up liking the most. And then Jay ended up liking smoking this cherry and strawberry tobacco that we got.
Wow.
And we had a bunch of them for him to try, and he would go back and forth. But
wow, I feel like a Hollywood insider with my...
Well, here's the thing. If you like that feeling, we're going to be coming out with a lot of Periscope stuff. I mean, literally, we're going to be giving people, when we start shooting our next film, which I think will be in about a month and a half or so, 2 months, we're going to be giving all of our Periscope followers, they're going to be able to log in and for up to an hour a day, just sit there and watch us create the movie. We are not editing. It's all raw. And I'm hoping people feel like, because I feel the same way you do. I love that shit. I will watch behind the scenes stuff of a movie all day long.
Yeah, I enjoy it from both angles, because I like the idea of media and films and TV and production and that whole aspect. But I also like seeing behind the scenes and making the connection with what it is I'm watching. It's just a great way to really engage with people, to have an audience beyond personal friends that you can still stay connected to. It's a great feeling to know you have a voice in something other people agree with and want to connect to and be part of.
I couldn't have said it better myself, man. Exactly.
Cool. Well, then, since I said it best, I guess we should end it there. I appreciate your time, man. This has been great. Send me whatever you want. I'll repost it, share it, upload it, the whole deal. Anything you want to promote from a physical merchandise standpoint, just let me know and I'll put it up on my online store. We'll just go from there. I want to be part of the Keef Army, and hopefully the Keef Army can be part of the Cannabis Community Project.
Consider it done. You are a part of the Keef Army, and I appreciate it. And anybody else, Fuel is mutual. We want everybody. And so, yeah, thank you. And the same for you. Thank you all for your time.
Cool. Sounds good, man.
Beautiful. All right, buddy. Take care.
Have a good weekend. Bye.
All right, bye.
Thanks for listening to this week's show. Make sure to come back next week. We're going to have more guests lined up, speaking with dispensary owners, growers, business owners. Make sure to follow us on all of the social media, Facebook, Google+. You can listen to our shows live from the website or your preferred listening platform. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spreaker, even YouTube, all under the same name, CannabisCommunityProject.com. We'll see you next week.
You